do you have any lasting injuries from your biking days?
From racing, not so much, but in 2015, I had a bit of an accident actually on my bike. Only 5K to go. We were putting in a pretty good effort that day. We were doing a 50K mountain bike race or ride, pardon me. About 5K from the end of it, I had just a real silly crash. Honestly, it was like super, basically hit a rock the wrong way and kind of nose wheelied into a tree and broke my back and my neck actually.
Oh. Hey everyone.
We are back with another Canadian Trail to Western States.
Yeah.
But before that...
But first...
what's happening with GottaRunRacing?
Well, we sent out an email to all of those people who deferred from the 2020 Chase the Coyote with your promo code to sign up for this year, our final year.
10th and final year. Make it happen.
And spots are definitely limited, so if Coyote's been on your list for a while, it's now or never.
Yep, we got to get there. Get it done.
That's right. And we've had a couple of emails from folks this week asking if you have to be double vaccinated to participate in our races. The easy answer is yes. The more complicated answer is that the reason that it's yes is because of our insurance provider. So as of February 2022, all volunteers and participants must be double vaxxed, and you will be asked to show your QR code upon entry. However, we think
things could change.
That it could change.
And then all of a sudden, you don't need to be.
Exactly. So
yeah,
we will update as soon as we have any new information. But as of right now, you do need to be double vaxxed to participate
in our GottaRunRacing event.
That's right.
Okay. And of course, if you can't make it on date, all virtual is available.
That's right. All of our events have virtual options. We'll send you the swag. We'll send you the medal. We'll send you a bib.
All right.
So who we got on the podcast today?
Paddy.
Patrick Humenny from Kimberley, BC.
Kimberley.
We know that place.
Yes, we do. And he got into Western States with 32 tickets, 6 years. Wow, that sounds familiar.
Doesn't it, though?
And we have some races in common. So,
sure do.
And some races I still want to get to do, but we're going to definitely hear all about it.
All right, let's get to it.
Coming up.
So welcome to the podcast, Paddy. Normally, we start off with introducing how many tickets you've earned at Western States and all that good stuff. But today... because we had a little bit of a time zone confusion error on our part, you responded with some interesting spotting on your run this morning. So why don't we start with that?
It's just typical Canadian, I guess, run. Woke up this morning. I actually was thinking about running after the podcast today because, I grew up in Manitoba, but I'm not used to the temperatures right now. Woke up and it was minus 27. But it was sunny out, so decided to get out and get my workout in. And about 3 kilometers from the end of my run, after chasing moose tracks around for about an hour and a half, I finally came along and saw a moose. It was actually a unicorn. He only had one of his antlers. He was just chilling out in the snow. Kind of came up on a switchback, and there he was. So had a little bit of a visit with him and took a couple pictures, and then cruised on downhill to be in front of you guys with 10 minutes to spare. And then I realized I had an hour and 10 minutes to spare.
And you're in Kimberley, BC, is that right?
I'm actually, I've been in Kimberley 10 years, but I kind of split my time between Kimberley and Fernie now. Fernie's I think most people know Fernie in Canada more than Kimberley. Maybe anyway, it's bigger ski hill town. But my partner lives over here. So, January and February, a little bit quieter in the store, and my staff wants hours, and I would rather be playing, and I can do lots of work from my laptop these days. So I'm over here actually today.
Well, since you mentioned it, tell us about your store.
So my store is called Purcell Outdoors. It's kind of named after the mountain range that Kimberley, BC's based in, and I've owned it for 5 years. The store is 6 years old. Kind of started as a backpacking store. I've been in the bike and ski industry pretty much all my adult life, so 25 plus years. This opportunity came up 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, to take over, and I was looking kind of for a little bit of a change just from what I was doing and the shop I was at. And I was able to buy the store, and kind of because of the fact that it was still such a new store, it was turnkey, but definitely had it was kind of an unpainted canvas at the same time. So, and like I said, it was predominantly a backpacking store. But by the time I took it over, I was pretty into trail running and ultras at that point. And Kimberley, BC, and even Fernie and our surrounding communities, there's a really good trail running and ultra scene.
Right.
As you guys know, Black Spur. I saw that you guys are there. Yeah, sweet. I probably saw you and high-fived you at one of the aid stations because I would have volunteered that year.
Before we get into your ticket races, it's a 6-year journey, we think, that brought you to 32 tickets.
Yeah, it's 6 years. I guess
we'll get into each one specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna go back in time.
We're gonna go back in
time.
time.
Sorry.
We're gonna go back in time because we noticed one of the first things that popped up in terms of race results for you was a 24-hour mountain bike race
back in 2012. Is that right?
So So actually, that was my last 24-hour race. It was actually my 24th 24-hour race, and it was it was that one in Canmore was. I guess technically it was national championships. So yeah, that went really, really well for me. I was building up that year to race worlds actually, which were going to be in Canmore as well. But through just a bunch of stuff that was happening in that scene of mountain biking, unfortunately worlds got canceled that year. That was, I was kind of at the apex of what I was wanting to do with 24-hour mountain bike racing at that point. My background was ultra cycling, both on the mountain bike and kind of early days of gravel bike racing as well. I did quite a bit down in the Midwest of the US, and with 24-hour mountain bike racing, a lot in kind of the prairies of Manitoba, which isn't a lot. I did actually myself. I was a bit of a race director and had hosted a 24-hour race, and was involved in other races in Manitoba, especially through the bike shop that I was at the time. Right. And then in the Midwest and out here. But when I came out west in, I guess, 2008. And then fast forward to 2012, that was kind of my last 24-hour race. It went, like couldn't have gone better. It was kind of a nice way to end it.
For sure. And
at that point, the reason why I kind of ended was my partner at the time had gotten into trail running. She was a bit more of a runner than I was. I ran a little bit, just cross trained and stuff through kind of the years from my cycling days. And she was kind of similar to Leo's story, actually, where he was registered for the death race on a team and then ended up doing it himself. And so to bore you with the details, but we ended up at the death race, and I realized at that point, I was like, I kind of feel like I'm kind of done with bike racing at that level and what I was doing and going around in circles for 24, 25 hours, and kind of wanted to see what the running thing was about. And, the death race was an interesting one to have that kind of epiphany at, because at the time, and I think I'm echoing what other people have said, it was, it was a cool race, cool scene, in some ways, and in other ways it wasn't probably the race to actually spark the fire. But anyway, long story short, I did race I was a bit of a cyclist at a high level for a long time and traveled around.
Do you have any lasting injuries from your biking days?
From racing, not so much, but in 2015, I had a bit of an accident actually on my bike. I was out on a Saturday and got a good long run in already. I was like 36K on dirt down in Cranbrook, which is about 20 minutes south of Kimberley. And the next day got out for a bike ride with some buddies, and kind of that classic, like, only 5K to go. We were putting in a pretty good effort that day. We were doing a 50K mountain bike race or ride, pardon me. About 5K from the end of it, I had just a real silly crash. Honestly, it was like super, like basically hit a rock the wrong way and kind of nose wheelied into a tree and broke my back and my neck actually. That's long story short. I only spent one night in the hospital and ended up in a neck brace for close to 4 months.
Okay.
By, I guess, I ended up doing Black Spur, and then 2 weeks later I ended up going to La Sol, like fast forward into the spring, summer. And that was sort of, that was kind of my epiphany year of like, okay, I got away with something here essentially, and literally got to walk away with, mostly no side effects. I mean, honestly, part of the reason why I probably stay active now more than anything is because of those injuries. Things are pretty good. Probably the worst thing that came out of it was the concussion I got out of it. That wasn't really diagnosed.
Right.
Again, another story for another time. But yeah, honestly, that was a pretty big year for me. Like being able to, have such a serious injury, and by basically the end of summer, put 200 Ks together within 2 weeks essentially. And
that's incredible.
They were basically kind of survival tests, honestly, but it also, that year was pretty significant in terms of realizing what my body could handle in terms of like the stress I could put on it. And yeah, so
wow,
that was the serious thing.
So
So
let's go back in time to Death Race in 2013.
Went up to Grand Cache and did CDR and had a, like, it all kind of like came together, and went through so many highs and a little bit of an ultra hangover after as well. And then but had no real like thought or interest of Western States at that point.
But did you know that you had a ticket though that year? No,
honestly, it wasn't until it was maybe in the fall. A buddy of mine who actually, he was kind of one of the catalysts for me to get into ultras. My buddy, going back to Winnipeg, he came out to run La Sol, the 100 miler. So he came out, stayed with us. I volunteered at an aid station and paced him for probably the last 60K of it, kind of thing, because I think that's what you're allowed to do with that one. And that was kind of maybe an early spark where I literally just power hiked with him. But like by the end of it, like I was trashed because I wasn't used to being on my feet for that long, and even though it was like power hiking and stuff. So
and that's through the night as well.
Like. And but again, I was just, wasn't really aware of what was going on in the ultra world. Just like I was just like, just so new to me, right? It was just like this, like all these new people, didn't know anyone, didn't really know what was going on, like what the prestigious races were or any of that stuff. So
when did Western States come on your radar?
So Western States came on my radar when Unbreakable came out. Yeah. So, and it's definitely, we actually just watched it again a couple weeks ago. It's one of those movies I could probably watch.
Did it have a different ending?
Well, what's funny about it is like, I hadn't watched it in a couple of years and I forgot who won. That was actually the funny thing was, and honestly, one of the motivating, like the actual, I guess the protagonist, because it's only, it's Anton and Killian and Jeff, and now I'm having a brain fart.
Jeff Rose.
So, but it was Jeff Rose that actually was sort of like, I was like, man, that guy's like he's just got cool, like everyone loves Anton. Anton's beautiful. He's like, when ultra running memes was out, like all the memes on there were, it's probably him actually doing it. But yeah, no, Jeff was one of those guys where like I just kind of felt like I could relate to a little bit. Like he was just kind of like, he let his legs do the talking. And honestly, I think what it was, like just going back to that race, was just the fact that like, and that documentary, if you want to call it that, was like so good at like capturing everyone when they were going through, I don't know if I can swear on here, but going through shit, like, you know, and like, and Jeff, when he's talking about like how his legs aren't working, and, you know, and he's off the back, but he's not really off the back, you know, but it like, all of a sudden you think like the guy's just going backwards, and like, he's not giving up, and he's not like packing it in. He's not freaking out or anything. Right. And he just kind of like powered through it, and the rest is history. Like, for,
I think that's one of those.
But that was like a movie that kind of like lit the match for me, honestly. And then I actually realized, I was like, shit, I could have had a ticket already.
That's right. That's what was.
So, yeah. But yeah, I was like, you know, not to dwell too much on hindsight.
I was just going to say about Unbreakable that I think that's one of those movies that you could show someone who really doesn't know a whole lot about running.
Yeah.
That documentary, and
then they'll understand our sport.
They'll understand and they'll appreciate it, and they might be piqued their curiosity because it when you talk to an average person about ultras, the first thing they ask is, well, do you sleep? Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Do you eat?
It's
like,
same with back when I used to do 24-hour races and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you could, but the race doesn't stop. So yeah.
Yeah, it's Unbreakable.
If you want to be competitive, like, that's, you know, the quickest way to take yourself out of it. So
it's the movie Unbreakable, and the book Born to Run is basically what sparked the ultra scene.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk ticket races. Let's talk your first ticket race where you actually kept your ticket and put it into the lottery. Which one is that?
I think I would have gone back. It would have either been Canadian Death Race again, which I said after the first time I went that I'd never go back to. And then I was like, and I did go back, and I think, and I don't know if you guys looked at the times, but I took all of 19 seconds off my second time. Moved up quite a bit. I ended up having a better result, and but yeah, and I guess maybe if there's anything about me, I'm consistent. But yeah, I think it would have been Canadian Death Race again, and then a bunch of Lost Souls. I think it was basically all Lost Souls since then.
Well, let's talk about the second Canadian Death Race, because what you did 19 seconds different from 2 years before is practically impossible.
Well, and the conditions were, I'm trying to think, like the conditions were actually kind of similar both years. I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah. So, but the timing of things happened differently. So ultimately I ended up going through a pretty gnarly downpour coming off the first climb in the first one, but it was like middle of the day, so it wasn't a big deal. Whereas the second time around, the weather got like super gnarly, and I think it actually snowed up high the second time, but I was already off all the high points, had crossed the river, and I was kind of back, like working my way through the Nordic Center when the downpour hit full on. But it was like full. I was like, at that point, I knew I was done. Like, I knew I was going to be, as soon as I got to the river, I knew I was getting to the finish no matter what. And I wasn't really like, I wasn't trying to, like, you know, I wasn't going for the win. I wasn't trying to be like top anything. I just wanted to finish again. And I knew I was feeling better. And I just, you know, there's little things that I changed, like, you know, figure out what shoes worked for me. Those type of things. Nutrition went better and stuff. But ultimately, when I got across, I think I actually kind of just like coasted for that last leg, and ultimately ended up, just because of the weather too, like I got gnarly hypothermia, got done, I was like puking. Oh, it was brutal. It was awesome, and I'm glad I got it done when I did, because I know half the field after that. I mean, that race has such an attrition rate. Like, I think it's like barely 30% most years finish, and I think that year was a pretty low one because like up high it was hailing and snowing and all that. So
yeah, Mount Hamel is unforgiving, I think.
It is. Yeah, there's nothing up there, like nothing. Nothing.
I was fortunate to do it in 2005.
And it's one of those things that,
I was fortunate to do it in 2005.
Yeah, I saw that. You went way back.
Let's talk about ticket 3, which is Lost Soul.
Yeah.
2017.
Because you did
2017. So trying to remember what would have been significant that year at Lost Soul. It might have been the Smoky year. I remember significantly that year. That was a year where I was just like, no, I really want this. I'm going to get my ticket, and no matter what happens, like I'll get this done, and hopefully not do irreparable damage to my lungs because of the air quality. It was brutal that year. It was.
So what, you couldn't breathe because of the smoke? Is that it?
I actually didn't have a problem with it. But so many people dropped out that year because of the smoke. The air quality was bad. I mean, I can't remember what it was parts per million, but it was brutal. And it was kind of crummy too, because the weather and the air in Lethbridge at the time had been not too bad. And then it was like a day or two before where the weather just kind of changed, and they just said, look, like, we're going to have the race. It's at your discretion whether you want to do it or not. And like everyone told the line, like ultra runners were, they were greedy, stupid, stubborn, all of the above. Yeah, a little bit of all of it. And yeah, it was like, I didn't actually have an issue with it at the time. I remember having a bit of a tickle in my throat afterwards, but like friends struggled through it for sure. And I mean, we're all different. Like some of us can, deal with certain things different than others. I mean, I've had toe cramps that have like stomach cramps that have like caused me to DNF races. So
yeah,
it is what it is, right? Everyone, your number comes up once in a while. So
definitely.
So at that point, you had 3 tickets in the lottery. Are you thinking, I'm not even going to check now. I'm going to just keep plugging away?
I actually, I kind of, I don't know. I've definitely made it a habit of watching the lottery every year. It's cool to see, honestly. It's cool that so many people show up and like go down to, to the auditorium and stuff and check it out. So no, every year I've been, this was actually, ironically, this would have been the first year where I actually didn't want to. But my partner was like, no, we should do it. We should have like a breakfast thing. Cause like you're close, like you might get in. I'm like, but you don't understand. Like, since I've started putting tickets in, like my chances have definitely gotten better, but like so many more people have like tried to get in, and like, the odds are going up incrementally year to year. Right. Like, I mean, this year, I think there was 18 people that had 128 tickets and only 11 of them got in. Like, still, like it is what it is, but
you did lost so many times.
Yeah, I've done it. So I've done it, and I kind of I tricked myself. I misinterpreted a little rule they have where if you do 1,000 miles there, that you get a really big rock. And I, like, again, my friends I've become really good friends with the race organizers there. So when I guess it would have been 2019, I went back because they offered a 200K option for anyone that wanted to do it. It was the 20th anniversary of Lost Soul. I mean, that's like an iconic Western Canadian ultra, the Canadian ultra, honestly. Sure. And it's like, I think you've heard this from some of the other folks on here. You think like the first time you go there, it's going to be nothing. And I lived in Lethbridge for 3.5 years and used it as kind of my base camp for cycling, for training. And those coulees like chew you up, honestly, because like, again, they're really steep. Where it's flat, you kind of get tricked into running, like, because you think you're slacking off if you don't. And the climbs, they're not long, but they're relentless, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I see the video on YouTube and I'm thinking that's just never ending. It's either going up or down, up or down.
But I will say this, part of the reason why I go back and why I have gone back, and I probably will do it again someday. After last year, I'm going to take a break. There's so many other races I want to do. Obviously this year is going to be, my focus is going to be heading to Olympic Valley. So, but they do such an amazing job. Like, that race has some of the best volunteers you'll ever meet. And I mean, volunteers at any race are amazing, but that race, the aid stations are, second to none. There's just the running culture in Lethbridge is like something you gotta go and check it out. It's a really cool scene. It's the race is like right in town, so like for, like this year, my partner, she came to crew me for the first time, and it was like, it's a great race for that because you get to see everything. You don't have to drive a bunch. You don't have to like, it's not going to beat your car up, driving down fire roads, for like, 600K while your runner's running 50K. You know what I mean? Like it's such a cool race. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, the community there, the running community there is so cool. So.
And you ended up winning that one, right? in
2019? I age grouped a couple times, but in 2019 I did, the 200K I did win.
Nice.
So, yeah. That was the longest. Like, I've never run that far. That would have been my second 100 miler, I guess, like distance, because Sinister would have been, when I completed Sinister the second go round, that would have been my first.
Right.
So I went into it. There's a few things I made some changes on going into that one. I kind of went into it with the headspace that I was gonna, just leave it all out there. So, and they've talked about offering it again, and I would definitely go back and try and defend and maybe, clean it up a little bit if I could. I mean, it's easy to say when I'm sitting in front of a computer with heavily caffeinated, but I know I could go back and, at least I could do is try. I mean, I could have a crappier result too, but that was a cool experience, because again, I knew the trails, I knew how the aid stations worked. I had a really dialed crew. And I honestly, like, if it wasn't for them, I couldn't have done it. So, and that was actually I think that was the first running race my parents actually came out to and saw it finish. So I kind of had that kind of motivation too, to make sure I got it done, because it was pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
Made my mom cry. So
So how did you find out you got into Western States? Take us through that.
So we were go back to December, I guess 4th. We just kind of were having a chill morning back at my place in Kimberley, and I turned on the live feed, and a little bit of butterflies initially when I turned it on, just because I was, and I checked my phone and hadn't, nobody had, I knew friends that were watching it as well, and I think it was Hard Rock Lottery was the same day, maybe. So we were watching for some friends to get into that. I've got a friend. She actually did it a couple of years ago, and I think she's on the wait list, but that wait list is like a weird, like, she's only 4th on it. But anyway, long story short, we were just drinking coffee and watching it, and then it was kind of a string of, there was like a bunch of Canadian names, because I think Mike Jolie, I think he and I got called like I think Leo got called maybe first. I don't know. There's like a cluster of us where all of a sudden it seemed like whatever they were grabbing there was just like all the Canadians.
Yeah.
They called my name, said my last name right. I my girlfriend's got a video of it, and I mean, it's, we joke that I had Paddy mouth. There was a lot of expletives, some tears, honestly. Aww. Like, it was, I kind of said before, like, I kind of told myself, like, if I don't get in this year, I'm going to be 46 this year, but I feel like I'm still, like, I'm from a speed standpoint, I feel like I still have some good years in me. I've made some changes personally to sort of like extend that, just in diet and a few other tweaks and stuff I've made, where I was just like, if I don't get in this year, like, I'm going to get in, like, I'll get in eventually. And even if it's not until, like, I don't know, if I end up being one of those 128 ticket people, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just, it is what it is. But got called in and had a huge adrenaline dump, and then we ended up actually watching the lottery again after. Like, I had to reshare it on Instagram just to let people know. Right. So how many tickets was it for you?
Same as you, but then
Okay.
I had to defer 2 years. I deferred both 20 and 21.
So you got called.
I was supposed to do in 2020. Yeah. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. When we'll run together at Western States Day, just for a little bit, and I'll tell you all about it.
Sweet. Cool. Are you guys going to go to the camp?
I would like to go. I
think honestly, it looks like such a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, Norm's paced before, so he knows part of the course.
I know the back half of the course. And after Western States, what other bucket race are on your list?
I mean, Hard Rock has definitely been up there, and like going over and like checking out, like, I don't know, but like UTMB, CCC, I think would be one I'd like to try for sure. Mm-hmm. Hard Rock, I think that one just seems like such a, I don't know if it'd be kind of like Western States, where ultimately it would be kind of, I think the project with that one would be, there's races that I've been to before. Like I've been to Bighorn, crewed at Bighorn, crewed at Bear. So those races like appeal to me for sure. Again, it's like the one thing I really love about trail running is, like you get to go somewhere and theoretically see like amazing trails.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're not always going to be quad trails. Sometimes there's going to be quad trails. Sometimes there's going to be road. You got to connect the dots.
Yeah.
And, even if you have to run a little bit of road, you'll get some fast K out of it anyway. So, so there's so many races out there, and there's races popping up. Like I would love to get back to the Midwest, like, and do like the Superior 100. Like I've heard great things about that race. It's rugged, it's remote. There's some winter races that have appealed to me, like Arrowhead just happened, but I'm a wuss when it comes to the cold. Like I ran this morning, it was minus 27 when I went out, but like I can't imagine being out there for, you're out there for an hour and a half. Like that's novel. You know what I mean?
Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right,
okay.
Patty. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Enjoy the
you're
rest
very
of your
welcome.
day.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Okay,
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, so that was Paddy.
Yes, and he is excited
Sure is.
to be going to Western States finally.
That's right.
Yeah, he put all his time at Lost Soul and Death Race, but now he's ready to take on Western States.
You got it.
All because of Unbreakable.
Oh, how many people did that movie inspire? Countless.
4? I don't know.
Countless.
Countless. So anyway, we're going to definitely see him at Squaw.
We got to watch Unbreakable before we go to...
Just pumped up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We'll be seeing Paddy at Squaw.
Yes, and he's going to run up that hill.
If you'd like to hear our full chat with Paddy, check out our podcast.
Cheers.